Hi, teammates all around the world. My name is Sean J. McCall, and I am your host for this edition of Let's Talk. We're going to get right into it. I see my guest has already sent a request, so we're going to bring him in right away. Make sure. And we are ready to start. He should be coming on, or maybe not. Let's see. There it is. Went through. Good. Let me fix my camera first, and then we can get started. Mike, thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. It's an honor to be on the show. Appreciate it.
Uh, all right, we're gonna get right to it. Can you do me a favor and just introduce yourself really short to the people out there, and then we're gonna get started with the questions.
No problem. My name is Michael Holton Jr. I'm a 10-year overseas vet from Portland, Oregon, in the United States. Spent the last 10 seasons playing in 7 different countries so far in Europe, from Austria, Germany, Ukraine, France, Israel, Cyprus, and Azerbaijan, and currently located in Vienna, Austria.
Okay, we're gonna get right to it. So you are currently playing in Austria right now, right?
Yes, yeah,
Or St. Polten?
yeah, I'm at St. Polton.
Okay.
I joined them later on into the season. I didn't sign through August or September, and they had an injury happen with one of their guys, and I was actually training with them and working out, trying to just
Mhm.
stay in shape,
Right.
waiting for a different kind of opportunity. And they had somebody go down, and I still didn't have a look or the look that I was looking for,
Mhm.
and we agreed to a short-term deal.
Okay, we're going to get more to that later. I just wanted to get the Austrian connection. So actually, speaking of Austria, I have that also as a connection because I am an Austrian citizen and played in Austria the first 5 years of my career. You happen to also know my son,
I do.
and how did you meet Justin?
So I met Justin in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, my rookie season, the first my first landing spot in Europe was in Kapfenberg.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Where I
and,
also played, yeah.
yeah, and so I was there with Sean Ray,
Mm-hmm.
and Johnny Griffin was an assistant coach. Mickey Schrittwieser was the head coach, and
Right,
Justin was one of the young guys. I think
young guys.
he was 15 or 16
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
time.
yeah.
So yeah, so it's crazy
I
that
think that was I think that was a season he played the first time in the Bundesliga and was like the youngest Austrian player to ever play a game in Austria. I think
yeah,
he was like 15. Yeah,
yeah, he was young. He was young.
yeah.
And but he had the talent, and he had the drive and everything. And so that was a fun team for me to be on. We had a good
Mhm.
mix of very young guys, guys in the middle of their careers, and guys towards the later stages of their careers. So that was I didn't know, a few months prior to being there, I didn't know anything about Austria or Kapfenberg.
Neither did
uh,
I.
yeah, but August 15th came around, and there I was. So
Speaking of like going to Austria and going to Kaffenberg specifically, when I went there, I had absolutely no idea of anything in Austria except Vienna. So when I landed in Vienna, I
mhm.
was looking out the window like, oh, this is gonna be nice. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
okay. It's a bigger city. And then Johnny and Mickey picked me up
Okay.
and we drove back to Kaffenberg. And you know that drive.
Hour
It
and a
ain't
half. Yeah.
nothing but mountains,
Mhm.
cows. And I'm like in the car, like, where the hell are we going? Like the city
Yeah.
is back there.
Hmm.
And then we got to Kaffenberg and it was like so small. And I was like, so what was your first impression when you landed and got settled then in Kaffenberg?
So I had a really long journey getting there, due to, I can say now, my inexperience with traveling abroad and dealing with border customs. So my trip from Portland, Oregon to Kapfenberg, Austria, which was supposed to be maybe a 15 or 16 hour like flight to get to Vienna.
Right.
It ended up being over 30 hours by the time I got there because I have my contract and everything. It's for 10 months and whatnot, and I'm about to travel to Europe for the first time by myself.
Mm,
Layover in Frankfurt, and then they're asking, how long are you going to be in Austria? And I don't know any different from that. You're supposed to say you're just there on a tourist thing. I didn't know if the team had my visa and everything sorted out already, and so I said I'm going to be there for 10 months. and to and so yeah, they had me taken to the side in the border patrol room, and I missed my layover flight, and I had to explain why I was actually going.
mhm.
Then once they we got to the bottom of it, that I was going on a pro contract, I would get a longer term visa after I got there. Things got sorted, but yeah, it took me forever to get there. But landing in Vienna, and making that trip, like you said, you see the mountains, you see all the grass and the cows and everything. And I was just so relieved to like finally like get there.
Yeah,
Okay, cool. This is my landing spot. Like, we get me up to my apartment room and everything. And they were like, yeah, like about 30 minutes to an hour, we're gonna go to the gym.
practice.
We're gonna go to the gym. Uh, and
No
it was
mercy.
and it wasn't like full on live practice, but it was kind of like an orientation, like a meeting, and like kind of get out there and
Yeah.
get some light shots up or whatever. But yeah, first impressions were that okay, this is a small town and everything, but it was pretty, it was serene,
Mm,
like
yeah.
you go to a lot of places in Austria in August, like it's going to be some
Right.
beautiful scenery and everything,
Right.
um, but definitely feels like you're in a different part of the world.
Hmm. And so your first season was in Kaffenberg in Austria.
Hmm.
What I think for the transition to come from America to Austria, especially to Kaffenberg, is maybe not as bad as other places because first of all, you had a coach that spoke very good English. You had an assistant coach that was American. You had a lot of players that could understand that spoke English and stuff like that. So it's a little bit easier. What did you find the hardest that first season away? Was it the basketball or was it the lifestyle outside of the court?
um that's a good question, and I would say the biggest like adjustments right away were like lifestyle off the court.
Mm,
The basketball stuff, there's a few subtle things that you got to get used to with the footwork and the
mm.
travel violations and everything. But those small like kind of technicalities, or how they call, who are you guarding? Are you guarding another American, or are you guarding
Mhm.
the better domestic player on the team? They're calling fouls on all the little hand checks and stuff. Certain guys like you can't really touch, and so
Right,
like getting
right.
getting used to like where you are and how they're calling things is like the one major adjustment basketball, as I say. But then like off the court is like a lot of places in Europe are like this, but in a place like Kapfenberg, especially like what the time of day that like stores are
Everything
closing,
shuts down.
everything shuts down. So if you're doing two practices a day, if you're in the morning from 9 to 11 or 10 to 12, and then you got night practice from 6 to 8, you have to really think ahead about like, do I have what I need to
Hmm.
eat
You got a
after
plan.
practice tonight, and plan, because you could finish practice at 8, and then all the grocery
Everything
stores are
closed.
closed, a lot of businesses are closed, and then the only thing that's open is like McDonald's or a kebab stand, and like that's just kind of like, okay, I'm trying to do the right things. I'm trying to be
Mhm.
professional and eat right, take care of your body, and then you realize, dang, every time after practice or after the game is only McDonald's
Mhm.
or Burger King open, and so that was just an
Mhm.
adjustment, getting used to like the flow, ebb and flow of like businesses being open or closed, and then getting around language barrier stuff,
Right.
finding your way with that. I'd say like those were the biggest like adjustments early on.
You mentioned the traveling rule.
Yeah.
So, quick story from my time in Austria. So, my first game was a practice game against a Vienna club that's no longer in existence. And I never forget this. The first game, it was a preseason game. The first game, I got called for seven travels.
Seven
Seven.
travels.
Seven. Hey,
That's
Mickey was
great.
so pissed. He
Yeah.
was like, "What are you? You can't adjust just like, what is wrong with you? Like, he was really pissed. And it took me about, because I was a driver. That was my thing, like that
Yeah,
quick first step, that American travel. And back then it was called worse than now. Now they've kind of merged to
yeah,
FIBA
yeah.
rules to American rules kind of a little bit. But back then, yeah, it took me a hot minute before I could get it down. So I think my first impression, that first game from Mickey, I don't think he was feeling me too much after that first game, but but I stayed there for 4 years, so I guess eventually I won him over.
Yeah, yeah, I think you figured it out, but it's definitely, I've seen, firsthand how, coaches or management thinks when they see a rookie who isn't getting it, very
Mhm.
early
Yeah,
on. The kind of
yeah,
red flags go up for them of
yeah,
like, do we need to get somebody else, or are they
right,
going to be able to figure it out and adjust in time?
right.
So sounds like you made the right adjustment.
Yeah, I figured it out at some point.
Yeah.
um, did you have a welcome to Europe moment on the court that first season,
Okay, on the court.
where you realized I'm not in Kansas anymore?
Yeah, we played FIBA Europe Cup
Yeah.
that first year, and we played Cantu from Italy. We played Boras from Sweden, and we played Le Havre in France. They're no longer in
Mhm.
the first league, but just like I came from a Division II school before starting my overseas career, and so going from the D2 level to now being out abroad and playing, first division teams from France or Italy, and going against a lot of the high major guys, and then kind of knowing who some of them are and like knowing
Mhm.
what to be ready for and everything, but like playing a team from France. And they just got super athletic bigs that are
Mhm.
going to get stuff off the top of the backboard and stuff like that. I guess like the pace that you have to play with in different countries was an
Mhm.
adjustment,
Mhm.
whether it's the import players, the domestic style of play, and then just needing to be like even more efficient. Like as things are kind of like sped up, I guess was like the bigger adjustment period for me. And then like the one major like welcome to Europe thing, I guess it goes along with the officiating was we were playing a preseason game in Germany and against and
Mhm.
they had a German national team player, Per Gunther,
Yeah. Not
guard,
touching him.
and I didn't know who he was, and
Mhm.
so like Ulm's a stronger and higher level
Mhm.
team than Kapfenberg, so
Mhm.
going into the game, it's like, hey, we need to go out there and be aggressive, and blah blah blah. And I'm looking at him thinking like, oh yeah, I'm about to
Oh,
like get up
this
in him,
dude.
So
Okay.
like, so here I am like, trying to pick him up full court, and I'm trying to cut him off and send him to like the corners of the court and like foul, foul, foul. Like every time, and I was just like, "What is this?" Like, my first few weeks in Europe, and like somebody who I think I can guard
Right.
easily is like
Right.
no chance. Like,
Right.
and so just you got to know like where you are, who you're playing against, and
Mhm.
like what to expect kind of from the officials heading in. And so that was a big like welcome to Europe moment for me.
Did you have anybody before you came overseas? Did you have anybody that kind of mentored you or kind of told you what it was going to be like or what to expect, things like that?
Uh, I tried to reach out to a bunch of different people, and it'd be hard
Hmm.
for me to pinpoint just one
Hmm.
off the top of my head right now. But just different guys I knew who, they might have played in Spain or in Greece or whatever. A lot of the guys I knew played at higher levels in Europe than the levels that I was stepping into. And
Hmm.
so the advice wasn't the same in terms of
Right.
the type of gyms you're about
Right.
to be in and the type of travel you're gonna have, and stuff like that. So, and I feel like even still with that, when people do kind of give you a lay of the land or what you
You have to
should expect,
experience.
you don't know it until you go
Yeah.
through it.
Hmm.
Until
Yeah.
it's a weird feeling, feeling like a kid again, like needing somebody to translate
Hmm.
for you, needing
Hmm.
somebody to help you,
Dependent.
yeah, dependent, hey, when's my Wi-Fi gonna get fixed? Or hey, what is this at the grocery store?
Hmm.
Like needing a lot of help for things that are, usually very basic and come straightforward to you is a big adjustment of like that dependency early on.
You made a comment about the gyms. What was your first impression of the Kappenberg gym when you walked in? Because mine was, oh, is this a practice gym? I
Yeah,
remember that very clearly. Like, oh, is this the practice gym? No, this is the. Oh, okay. My high school, big. Okay, yeah, all right, okay.
yeah,
That was my first impression. That was my first thought.
yeah. Same. I had, I did my research as much as I could, like
Mhm,
before I got there. So I was looking online, just trying to see game footage, highlights, like, and I kind of knew what to expect, but walking into it, it is like it's small.
mhm,
Uh, you got the back hallway with the locker rooms, and then you got the you had the weights at the time. I think they've enhanced their setup now, but at the time you had the weights underneath the bleachers on one side and everything.
mhm,
So that was a bit of an adjustment. But to be honest with you, I was so glad to be
mhm,
starting my career
mhm.
and
Yeah,
having the opportunity to be a professional.
yeah.
So there was on the one hand, like, okay, like the standard of gym or the facilities
Mhm,
is lower than most uh, NCAA facilities in America, whether it's D1,
mhm.
D2, or D3. Um, but at the same time, I was grateful and I was hungry and eager to get my journey started.
Um, was there ever a moment, whether it be the first year, second year, third year, whatever, and you're 10 years in now, but was there ever a moment where you thought, this ain't for me?
Mm. You get that you get that feeling a lot of times. Uh, the intensity of that feeling is
Yeah,
what
you're right.
varies.
Yeah.
You run into a lot of encounters with stuff where it's really testing your patience and testing your will and resilience and how much you want to keep doing what you're doing,
Mhm. Yeah.
because with all the pros that come with it, there are a lot of cons that come with it as well.
Hmm.
Whether that be practicing on a holiday, games on holidays, missing stuff back home,
Hmm.
somebody testing your patience, testing your manhood, and you needing to be calm, cool, and reserved and everything like that. So it'd be hard for me to pinpoint one like I'm
Hmm.
getting ready to call the type of moment.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because I think it comes up in many small different ways.
Right.
But I never had that real moment where I was like, I'm ready. I'm through with this or anything. I never, haven't come to that conclusion yet.
Hmm. You've played in 7 different countries, right?
7 different countries, yeah.
Was there one country from those 7 that was maybe harder for you to adjust than the rest, whether it be lifestyle or basketball?
Mm, they all come with their,
Mm-hmm.
differences. Like I said, I've been Austria, Germany, Ukraine, France, Israel, Cyprus, Azerbaijan. And so, like, facilities in some countries, or language barrier, or fan culture,
Mm-hmm.
coach expectations, food. Um, I'd say one of the tougher places to adjust. I feel like from a language standpoint, France was tough because they, they they're not folding. Like when it comes to you asking parler anglais, like like somebody may very well know how to speak some
Yeah.
English, but like they're not
Yeah.
they're not they're not folding on that. They're gonna
Yeah.
try to continue to speak
Where were you
French.
in France?
I was in Lille.
Okay. I was in Paris, and
Okay.
they expected me to speak French, and at that point I already spoke German fluent, but they expected me to speak French like I was there 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like really? Like, come on.
Yeah, like trying to ask for help or just something small or whatever sometimes where you think like somebody might work with you, like
Hmm.
and it can be brutal sometimes. That
I was
doesn't speak for
thinking,
everyone.
I don't think I could live anywhere outside of Paris because I would be toast because then no. Mm-mm, mm-mm.
Yeah, basketball wise, everything in
Basketball wise,
Washington,
crazy,
amazing. Yeah, loved it.
crazy.
I loved it. But just needing a little help at the
Hmm.
pharmacy, asking for something
Hmm.
or whatever. Like
Yeah,
it could be a little bit of a tough run. And granted, nowadays having Google Translate and all that stuff,
yeah,
you're
yeah,
relying on it, and
yeah,
those great tools available for adjusting.
yeah.
But I could tell, like I'm not. When did you play? When was your playing career?
Come on, man, I'm old. Don't throw me under the bus like
I'm
that.
not trying to throw
So
you under the bus, but
I was I
I'm
was
just trying to
in
say I'm
I
sure.
was in I came over in 95 and I was in Paris in 99, 2000.
Okay, I don't think
Or
it was.
2000, no, I'm sorry, 2000, 2001.
They didn't have the Google Translate
Nah,
right
they
there
didn't
in
have all
front of
that, dog.
you. Yeah, yeah,
I was thugging it out.
yeah. I remember trying to ask Johnny Griffin back in Kaufenberg, like, because he spoke German, by the time I
Yeah.
got there, and I'm just trying to figure out like how did you adjust, how did you learn, whatever, and he was just like, nobody spoke English, like to me,
You had to. You
like
had to.
teammates, I'm sure, but like
Had
some of
to.
them, but everywhere else, he was like, it's just you're just throwing it in the fire, and then you're gonna start picking it up when you have to. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, it's interesting for me to hear, stories from players who've come
Mm-hmm.
before me, and how they've, how they adjusted and how they made their way through with not having as many of the tools we have today for adjusting language wise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I saw a article about you and where you're talking about resiliency and consistency as a player being key for you. At what point in your career, your professional career, did you really lean into that? You know what I'm saying? There's always a point where things start to click, and then you realize, hey, it's not about getting 40 every game. It's about being consistent and, dependable, reliable, things like that. At what point in your career did it kind of click for you for the shape of the rest of your career so far?
Yeah, I feel like that's a great question, and I feel like that scenario or that moment has come for me in many different times over the course of my
Mhm.
career, where I've told a lot of younger guys that like a lot of times the thing that got you here is not going to be the thing that gets you like here, and then the
Mhm.
thing that's there is not going to get you like here. You kind
Right,
of have to not reinvent yourself, but you got to like, okay, what's required of me to make the next step, you know,
right.
to be successful or to fit at that next step and be good, and then like, okay, sustain or be able to make another jump. And so early on, it's like being a consistent performer was a thing. Like not like you don't have the luxury of being like streaky, in
Hmm.
the beginning
Hmm.
of your career, because
Hmm.
you can be like, hey man, look, I had 30, or look, I played really good defense this game or whatever, and you're trying to be evaluated and make the next step. And the clubs at the next step are looking for, okay, yeah, we're looking at 10 of you that have done those things, but who's doing it most consistently? Who can we rely on? And so needing to build a foundation of consistency to the point where somebody's willing to take that bet on you is something I had to learn a little bit the hard way early on. Like after my rookie season, I didn't play the following season. I didn't get a
Oh, wow.
job. So
Hmm.
I had a gap year,
Hmm.
and for whatever reasons it may be,
Hmm.
maybe
Hey,
age.
nobody is guaranteed a job for the next year.
No. And so everything that goes through your mind, when you're in that, it's agent or it was the coach or, blah, 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 or this guy shouldn't have a job and I should, like
Hmm.
the market doesn't care,
Hmm.
like, uh, and you need to be sound, you need to be without a doubt the reason why, demonstrating the things that a team wants to see and have in their organization. And so for me in my rookie season, played international, played FIBA Europe Cup games, had a few 20-point games in FIBA Europe Cup, had MVP of a game, had some good 20 plus point games in the Austrian Bundesliga. But, you know, one game I might play 40 minutes, one game I might play 10 minutes. And,
Hmm.
the slumps and the mental, of trying to figure out why am I playing, why am I not
Hmm.
playing, letting it get to you, maybe taking your foot off the gas at some point when you feel like, yeah, by the end of the season, my stats, my performances were like that along with it. And so, heading into that off season, you don't hear everything that the teams that pass on you think or say.
No.
So it's a
No.
lot of it's a mystery, but now further on down the line, I can look at it and be honest with myself of like, oh yeah, like I wasn't consistent. Like, it was making a jump like this and a game like this and a game like this and a game like this, and maybe that's okay depending on your situation, depending on your team, depending on your level. At the higher levels, you might have sometimes it's a guy who has a great game and then he's just role player stats or whatever, a great game, and that's fine at that level. At the lower levels, you got to be pretty dominant, on a consistent basis or winning.
Right.
And
Right.
so if you're not at your team's not at the top of the league, and you're towards the middle or bottom of the league, and you're not a consistent performer, I feel like that can hurt you, And so in terms of your original question, I guess those kind of moments of like reality checks a bit. Yeah, not getting a job my second season, sitting that season out was a tough one. And it goes back to a little bit of your former question of, do I continue or not?
Mm-hmm.
And so I ended up, after that gap year, getting a job in Pro B Germany, which was a step down from where I was before, I
Mm-hmm.
feel. But I had the mentality and the mindset of like, well, this is it. I got another chance, and I can't let this one slip away. So I feel like my regiment and my mindset that season was strong, and I performed well enough, consistent enough to start landing some offers within Germany, at the Pro A level, like before the season finished. And then, I ended up evaluating those in the off season and, making a jump to go into Ukraine first division. And, my foot was on the gas at that point of like, hey, look, I just already had like a gap year. I just played at a level I thought was lower than where I should be. I'm not going backwards, was like my mindset at the time. And so that did well for me, I feel like. And, it brought me to Zaporozhye in Ukraine. And I see we got some comments in here, some of the
Yeah.
fans. And then,
That's love.
I really cherish my time there. That was a big turning point for me in my career. Played strong enough. We won the regular season that season. I think the team was at the bottom of the league the year before. Was an all-star. We lost in the playoffs in the semifinals, but we won a bronze medal, which is the first medal for the club, in a long time. So going from like rookie season, eye-opening, understanding the pro life to a year off basically, to then like getting back in lower than where I started. Once I got to like Ukraine, I felt like, okay, like now I got things back on track, and I'm gonna do what I got to do to maintain and keep elevating. So, going through not getting a job for a full season and finding a way to get back on, like that was a big moment for me of like, don't let it slip away.
Mm-hmm. For some reason, I don't know if anybody else sees it. Maybe they can put it in the comment, but you keep freezing every like minute. It freezes for 20 seconds.
Oh man.
I don't know what, but I got a great question right now, and I hope it doesn't freeze because this might be the one that I use for my clip. Um, that year you had a gap year.
Mm-hmm.
What got you through with it? Or no, let me start again. The year that you had your gap year, what piece of advice would you give to someone that's also now in a gap year that you wish you had known when you were going through your gap year?
Mm. It's you got to drop your ego about what level you think you should be at,
Mm,
because I know a lot of guys might pass on something they think is beneath them or not what they want, and
mm-hmm,
being able to be realistic about why you're in that gap year scenario it could be, yeah, the market, or it could be, whatever, or it could be yourself, your performance, the personal reviews that somebody left about you, or whatever it is,
Mm,
kind of really looking in the mirror about like, why are you in that situation right now? And are you willing to take the next thing that pops up? And so there's that, there's the reality, looking in the mirror part of it, about like, why are you in the situation you're in? And then there's
mm,
the kind of, how long are you willing to go through or persevere, this period of uncertainty,
mm,
and kind of just keep your head down and keep working like towards it until you get a chance. And so, for some guys it might be, hey, I'm gonna give this another 6 months, or it might be, I'm gonna give another two
mm,
years, until I get a job, or whatever that is for you.
mm.
For me, uh, I was fortunate that I could be in Europe through that time. And
Mhm,
so my wife, we've been married now for 5 years. She's Austrian. I met her my rookie season, and
mhm.
we started talking and dating and everything. While I was having that gap year, she had moved to Germany with one of her friends, and I just came out there to A,
Be
to
there
visit her, but at B, I was also
to
like,
network.
to network and be on the ground, and
Mhm,
be in people's faces and show up and be willing to go to a tryout, be willing to just practice with the team, even though they couldn't offer a contract. And so I'm not telling everybody they need to go out there and and do that the same way, but like, the reality of
it
my
helps.
the reality of my situation was that I was then in Europe and
Mhm,
on the ground, kind of willing to go like wherever I needed to go to like be present. Hey, yeah, I'll come practice, or hey, yeah, I'll try out, or and so that ended up paying off
mhm.
just by being there and being able to in person show that like I'm in shape. I'm a normal person, like, because personality wise, like, they don't know you.
Right.
They don't know why, hey, maybe this guy has these kind of personality issues, or that's why the team didn't bring him back, or whatever, like that
Mhm.
and stuff. So, and understanding that, like, your situation is very, real to you, and, everything is urgent to you, but the clubs and the decision makers, they're receiving hundreds, or, thousands, or however many messages or profiles of players, and stuff. So it's hard to be front of mind with people, when that's the situation. Maybe it's a little bit different now for people to check you out with social media, and how easy it is to have highlights and stuff.
But they're still getting 1,000 messages a day,
Yeah,
even more.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
Mhm,
And so, yeah, I thought going to play at the level I went to play, if you asked me a year before, to take a reduction in payment or a drop in
mhm.
level after playing, against some first league teams in France and the Italy, having great games against them, to go there and play third league in Germany, if you would have
Mhm,
told me that a year before, it'd be like,
mhm.
no, that's not where I envision myself a year from now, or 2 years
But
from
where
now.
you envision yourself has
Yeah.
absolutely nothing to do with how those responsible, the people that are
Yes.
making the decisions,
Yeah.
what they think. So that's tough, man. It's a tough business.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
Yeah.
It is
And
like that. And actually, I have to say, I'm glad I'm tired. I'm glad I'm old because uh, that's not the life that it's tough. It's tough these days.
yeah, it can be
Um,
tough. And to cap what I was saying with all that is, like, I have extreme gratitude for any and all clubs that have ever given me a contract and
mhm,
opportunity, because I know that they are not easy to come by.
mhm,
Hundreds or thousands of people want
mhm.
your position, around the world and stuff. So, in hindsight now, I have extreme gratitude for every single club that has given me a chance to sign a contract with them and wear their jersey, because they give you the opportunity and the platform, to
Yeah,
perform and better yourself, better your career,
yeah.
and so shout out to all the teams I've played for.
um, What's one overseas myth that you'd like to get off your chest and say, hey, it's not like that at all?
Hmm.
For me, it was we are all not making $1 million because I had people hit me up thinking I was making. My first contract in Katzenberg, I was making $1,200 a month. Like, nah, I ain't rich. Don't hit me up for no money, right? So
Yeah.
that was mine.
Yeah, yeah. I think early on, you do get that. A lot of people, might think, yeah, oh, you made it. You're good. Like, you're set. I think at the same time nowadays, I think a lot of people are getting a little better bit understanding of the that there are levels.
Right,
Uh,
right.
like if they're not seeing you, they're not seeing your highlights come across whatever page, and the
Mhm.
gym's not packed, then they might assume, you're not making, you're not making no money and stuff like that. So I definitely feel like that's shifted a bit
Yeah.
over time as social media and the prevalence of highlights and footage from games from leagues around the world has gotten like stronger and stronger.
Right. Is there any myth that you would like to dispel?
Mm. That's tough for me right now to say because I feel like I've gotten very acclimated in Europe now
Right.
over the past years. So my comfortability level here, maybe that it's a myth that it's just hard to get by, or that it's like it might be impossible for you to pick up the language, or that it might be
Mhm.
impossible for you to fully adapt or feel comfortable or find a second home. If that can qualify as a myth, then I would say that because I feel like it takes if you're willing, and you're open to being in like new places, like not that it's going to become home automatically, but like you'd be surprised at how many people are like willing to help you out or willing to when they sense that you also have that openness for like their
Mhm.
culture.
Right.
um
Right.
you know no
Yeah.
matter how different it may be, I feel like I've been in enough places and enough regions now where it might be somebody who you think just their demeanor looks like their clothes are shut off, but
Mhm.
if you find a way to meet
And
them
they
where they're
open up.
at or go out your way to maybe say a light sentence or greeting in their language, that the demeanor changes, and that a lot of people
Right.
are, would be happy to show you their culture and everything like that. So
Right.
I think it's possible to, find your way in a lot of places if you're good with people and you respect where you're
Mhm.
at.
Right. I mean now I'm 30 years living overseas, right? So I'm never moving back home. Could you imagine to stay overseas? I know you got Austrian wife and um could you imagine to ever live permanently overseas?
I can imagine it,
Mhm.
and still trying to figure out exactly what I'm gonna do and where it's gonna be, who it's gonna be with or for, in terms of
Mhm.
occupation when I'm done playing.
Mhm.
Um, I'm currently enrolled in the EuroLeague Sports Business MBA program,
Good,
so I'm getting my master's degree right now in
good.
sports business management from a European institution, and my reasoning for doing that is to be better qualified and to expand my knowledge about all the lanes and roles that are involved like in sports outside of being a player or a coach, but also
Mhm.
within a different ecosystem, in different
Mhm.
regulations and everything like that and stuff. So um the game is becoming more and more global, and
Mhm.
as you start to see some of the rumors and whispers about NBA Europe heating up, I feel like the opportunities to maybe be in both places or to find your thing that's a bridge between both would be like ideal for me,
Right.
where I can still be involved with things in the States and still be involved with things in Europe, uh, uh, you know, with the game that I love, have spent so much time with, would be like the perfect scenario.
Hmm.
But it may come down to having to choose one or the other. And right now, I'm open to both, but
Yeah,
trying to learn as much as I can, and be
good,
ready to provide value is what I'm concerned with being ready to do when the time comes to
good,
stop playing.
good. All right, my guy, I got one more question for you, man. If you could design a master class for the realities of pro-life overseas, what would be the three most important lessons?
I would say mastering your own routines,
Ooh, good one.
because your team, your city, your accommodation, whatever, may have this type of weight room, this type of recovery, this type of gym access, good or bad. And so
Hmm.
being like, oh, the team doesn't have this, or our physio trainer doesn't do this, or they don't have an ice bath, or they don't have a
Hmm.
this or that. Um, you got to figure out your thing,
Right.
how you can do it consistently. And so I feel like mastering your own routines in terms of taking care of your body and
Hmm.
getting your
Yourself
reps
ready.
and
Hmm.
getting yourself ready, because the circumstances are going to change
Yep. Yep.
constantly.
Yep.
Weather's going to be good, weather's going to be bad, gym's going to have heat, gym's not going to have
Hmm.
heat, floor's good, floor's bad, ref's good, ref's bad. Like, it's all going to be like this, game to game, city to city, country to country. And so mastering your routines that make you feel ready to perform, and that have you like sound of mind, like that's like for sure in the master class.
Okay,
Uh,
that's number one.
yeah. Um, Stepping outside your comfort zone
Yes.
with
Yes.
people is going to be a big one.
Hmm.
Um, you know, teammate, local teammate, or a teammate from another country that's not yours, or the country you're playing in, or
Yep.
another teammate from your country or whatever. You're all coming from different places, walks of life. You might be different ages, you have different values, different expectations about
Hmm.
your roles on the team. Everyone's trying to eat, everyone's trying to win, play well, elevate themselves. So understanding that you're going to be working with a really different group of people that all have different motivations for why they're there and
Yep.
aspirations for what they want to do next is going to be paramount to your environment on a day-to-day
Your own
basis.
success. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
that's two.
that's two. And then I'd say like cultural submersion, so like do not just stay in your apartment and play video games and FaceTime back.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
For
Yes.
some guys, they may say, "Hey, that's better than me getting in trouble, doing
In the
this or that." And
streets.
like okay, like I can say on the one hand, like, hey, like if that's how you keep yourself out of harm's way and distractions or whatever, like on the one hand, like, okay, if you know yourself, that makes sense. But on the other hand, you get an opportunity to see the world.
Yeah.
Um, you get an opportunity to really be immersed in a different place. People save up a lot of money to come catch a flight, pack their bags, take time off of work to come to the country that you're in, and they're doing sightseeing and tourist stuff, and then a week later they're back at home. Whereas you have an opportunity to just go for a drive down the street, maybe, and and there's a cool place or a really interesting place that might open your worldview, or
Mhm.
expand your horizons in another way. So I think that all can like help you, being aware of where you are and soaking it in and being knowledgeable and enjoying life off the court is also extremely important, because you don't know when your journey is going to stop,
Yep.
and you may never ever go back to that place again, and be wishing you did, or wishing that I don't know how many people are going to say that they regretted. I regret checking out that that historical place,
Mhm.
or getting more immersed with the culture there, or just having a better worldview and an open understanding of things. I feel like yeah, that's my three. So that was
Okay,
mastering your
I got you.
routines. That was get to know your people and how to operate with each other, and embrace where you are.
I think that's pretty good. I think that's really good. So, with that, I will end the interview. Thank you very much for coming on. I appreciate you taking time out of your evening to give some nuggets. I'm really pissed because the video was cutting
Oh
all
man.
the time. So I'm gonna have to try to splice stuff together
Okay,
because
but
you
you
had
got
some really good
you got the
nuggets.
audio the whole
I
time.
gotta. It was like about halfway through. Was like right now for me, it's frozen. I don't know if anybody else sees that, but for me, it's frozen. I can hear you fine,
Okay.
but the video is gone. You're just frozen.
Oh man, I must have janky Wi-Fi, man.
So no, man, I appreciate it. I'll put something together. But you really had some nuggets in there that I think a lot of people can relate to. A lot of hoopers out there, especially those who have gap years or are struggling in finding their place, especially when they start in lower countries. You can make it, and I think you and I are both testaments of that. We both started in the same place, and we've both done pretty well for ourselves, So I think it's possible. And yeah, I appreciate you coming on, my guy. If I can do anything for you, please let me know. Justin said he was gonna tune in, but I don't think he did. But I'm definitely going to send him the YouTube link. And if I can ever do anything for you or your people, please let me know. And that's all I got for you, man.
Hey, I really appreciate being able to chop it up and have this conversation. I appreciate you having me on your platform, and I wish you all the best moving forward.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. I see now you're frozen. Did you get out of here already?
I'm still here.
Okay. You can go and log out. I'm going to say goodbye to the people here.
All right, peace.
All right, later. So everyone, I see that on my side it was freezing up, so it must be my janky Wi-Fi. But on his side, and for those of you out there, I guess it was fine. So maybe I can salvage something when I do the editing. So I'm really glad with that interview, and happy I could connect with someone who started in the same place that I did. So I know all the background stuff what he went through. I'm really happy with that one, and yeah, it's slowly coming towards the end of the year. I will not have that many more interviews, and I'm thinking about discontinuing the Let's Talk franchise. But I appreciate any of you that were here, if it was just for a minute or for the whole 48 minutes that I've been on. I appreciate you. And yeah, I hope everybody is healthy where you are and you stay healthy wherever you are. Until then, until next time, old head out.